So today is April 16th. It is a Tuesday, and I believe this is episode 3. And so before we start, I think transparency is important. Keeping that element within the podcast is something that I want to do. I think one thing that you'll notice is that the audio has been slightly improved, and that's because I am using a lav mic or a lavalier mic, and I'm hoping that this is going to do a better job of making the audio sound decent. I'm also currently in a booth that has pretty good insulation, and unfortunately, where I am currently, it's actually a podcast studio, but there have been some technical difficulties. So I was under the impression that those difficulties have been fixed, and they haven't. And it's getting to the point where I may need to reconsider outsourcing a studio and just make my own. So, which is disappointing, but that's what they say. If you can't find good help, then do it yourself or something like that. But on the flip side, and I think this is also important to say, it's like, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, then go together. Find somebody to go with you. And that's extremely important as well, finding that support. But anyway, when it comes to making progress and making progress quickly and efficiently, that kind of brings me to today's topic, which is just that: time management and efficiency, right? And really, how can you design or build an environment for yourself so you can feel your best and therefore do your best and operate at your best? So I was actually thinking about a couple of books that I've read just recently, I suppose. I mean, it wasn't my first or second or third time reading them, which kind of brings up another point. Like, I think it's way more valuable to read one book multiple times than to read, multiple books one time. Like, yeah, you can read multiple books and you'll gain insight from those books, but if you ever have watched a TV show over and over before, or watched a movie over and over before, then I think you and I would agree that each time that you watched it, you probably noticed something different. And in the same way, when it comes to reading, or listening to a podcast or studying anything, really, the more that you repeat it, the more that you'll recognize that you're able to extract new information, new insights, and there are more opportunities to apply things that you otherwise would have missed because you went over the thing more than once. Anyway, the two books I was talking about, one of them is going to be Atomic Habits by James Clear, and the other one is going to be called Effortless. And so Effortless is actually a book that I've read relatively recently, and it's not quite the same as Atomic Habits. It was written by Greg McKeown, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name. But basically, they're both just about how there are actions that you can do in order to increase your leverage with things. And then I think if anybody is familiar with somebody like Alex Hormozy, for example, he talks a lot about how you can increase your leverage in life and figure out ways to increase your output with low input activities, right? Or low impact things. And so some of the things that create high leverage are technology, right? So if you didn't have a phone, this is a very arbitrary, a very simple example, but if you didn't have a phone, if you didn't have that technology, then you would have to meet people in person, and that's the only way that you'd be able to network with them. But we're able to connect with multiple people significantly more quickly than we could previously because of our phones, right? And I was actually talking about that or something within that vein last night with a couple of my cousins. Just wow, you guys are all the way on the other side of the world, yet here we are having a high level conversation about leveling up together. And the only reason why that's possible is because of the day and age that we live in, where technology is pretty dope. But yeah, anyway, Atomic Habits. So one of the things about that book, there's a few chapters in it, and there were quite a few gems that I extracted while reading the book. And so I want to kind of go over those. But I want to say one of my major takeaways with this, and one of the things that's significantly helped me out in life, just in general, is creating an environment that makes it easier to win. You know what I mean? It's one thing to tell yourself oh yeah, I'm not going to stay up on my phone all night. But if you still like leave your phone on your nightstand, micro example, if you still leave your phone on your nightstand and you do that every night, then it becomes like increasingly difficult to muster the discipline to not get on your phone and be on your phone until like, midnight, 1 a.m., wee hours of the morning. So like, how do you avoid that? How can you actually reinforce a change in that behavior? Well, instead of leaving your phone on the nightstand, making the change of charging your phone in the bathroom or charging your phone in the living room will then make it easier for you to not be on your phone at night, and therefore for you to go to sleep. And so this is pretty interesting because this actually aligns really well with something that I learned in sleep hygiene. So I took a sleep hygiene class when I was in the Air Force, because I suffer from insomnia. So insomnia, or suffered, past tense, I suppose. I don't know. That's a conversation for later, probably for a doctor. But anyway, it's a behavioral thing. And the thing is like, insomnia is something that can 100% be cured. It can be treated. It's not a perpetual condition that just will never go away. And so one of the major reasons why people suffer from insomnia now is because of having their phones or their televisions in their bedrooms, and the thing is, what I learned in sleep hygiene class is, there's some exercises that you can do to kind of reinforce like what I'm about to say, but essentially your bedroom should only be for resting and for sex, and that's it. And so if you're doing anything outside of that, if you're reading in bed, if you're writing in bed, if you're watching TV, playing video games on your phone in bed, then you are then essentially training your subconscious mind, which takes up like 90% of your thought space, right? Is your subconscious. You're telling your subconscious mind, hey, this is a place that's actually meant for activity. Like the bedroom is a place that's meant for mental stimulation, whether that's through video games or phone or whatever. So yeah, I just thought that was pretty interesting. So anyway, if you build a system, and this comes straight from the book, but like if you build a system of atomic habits by implementing regular routines that are small and easy to do, it will result in compound growth. And so one of the ways that you can implement regular routines is by making small changes in your environment, like keeping your phone out of your room. Yeah. And the other thing is like about habits is like, as you cultivate better habits and make these habits over time, they will shape your identity, right? And vice versa as well. So if you effectively believe that you are somebody who is capable of XYZ, then just having that belief, the affirmation and like reinforcing that verbally to yourself is something that will also help you cultivate more positive habits, right? I'm not the kind of person who eats Cheetos anymore. That isn't me. I'm the kind of person that eats trail mix when I need a snack. By just saying that, you are then reinforcing that. And as you reinforce that, subconsciously your identity changes. And as your identity changes, you start becoming a trail mix person. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm just a little salty, to be honest. Like, I really wanted this podcast stuff to work, but it's all good. Yeah, so we kind of covered the rest of it, like the meat and potatoes, how to build on better habits. I'm going to say meat and potatoes like every episode. I think there should probably be a counter for that or something. Yeah. Yeah, I think those are pretty much like the big takeaways that I got from Atomic Habits. Really making like a bad habit like less convenient and making a good habit more or less more convenient is what is actually going to make it easier to create a better routine for oneself. And so if you're somebody that's addicted to shopping, but you intentionally delete Amazon Prime off your phone and you end your Amazon Prime membership, it then becomes significantly more difficult to shop for things online, right? If you are somebody that's addicted to television and video games and then you get rid of your TV, it becomes significantly more difficult to watch TV, right? And so these are some of the things that we can implement in order to do that. And so like, I think both of those examples are like slightly more extreme than leaving your phone in another room. But the fact is like changing the environment is a significantly more effective catalyst than for positive behavioral changes than sticking to having your environment exactly the same and just saying, oh, well, I'm going to do something different, right? like, if I'm the kind of person that constantly snoozes through my alarm, setting my alarm sooner and setting more alarms probably isn't going to be the most effective thing. But what could probably, especially if I keep my phone by my nightstand, and that's why I used to set my alarms. But if I like take that phone with the multiple alarms, put them on the other side of the room, and go to sleep with just like buy a different curtain, right? Because privacy still matters. So instead of having like blackout curtains in my bedroom, I might replace them with like sheer curtains. So like people still can't see inside, but like when the sun gets up and like it shines in my face still. So like just doing that in conjunction with putting the phone on the other side of the room or in a different room while still having the alarms on, all of a sudden makes it significantly more difficult to stay in bed, you know? So just some little hacks and some examples based on my interpretation of what I read through Atomic Habits. Yeah. It also talked a lot about shifting your environment when it comes to relationships and looking for people who actually have the qualities that you're looking for in yourself, which is something that I've been applying heavily as of late, and I think that's been pretty great for me. Yeah, we can keep going, but that's really that. I want to kind of skip over Atomic Habits like otherwise, but I highly recommend it as a book. I think it's not that long of a read. And like if you're not a reader, then I mean you're listening to a podcast, right? So maybe consider like picking up the audiobook. It's pretty similar. And there are a lot of good people who make like a lot of good like audiobooks or audio versions of books, and you can listen to them. Like, yeah, dude, like some of them have like Morgan Freeman. It's pretty sick. Like it's pretty cool. But anyway, this other book, which is Effortless, right? Make it easier to do what matters most. It's really good. So like he had another book too called Essentialism, and it was one of my favorite books. And basically Effortless is sort of a continuation of Essentialism, and it does a really good job of touching on a lot of topics without any like real fluff. Like it's a pretty straightforward book. Yeah. Most of the chapters take a broad view of like each one of the topics that are in it. So like I don't really want to like talk about the entire book. Like that's not what this is supposed to be, as a book review. But like just to give you a little bit of context, like one of my favorite quotes is, when we invest our time in actions with a long tail, we continue to reap the benefits over a long period, right? So basically what he's talking about is just like doing something consistently. And so like if you do something consistently, like it'll pay off, like it'll pay dividends, right? It's legit like exponential growth, which I think is pretty great. And here's another one. So like identify knowledge that is unique to you and then build on it. And this is something that I'm actively trying to do right now. Like that's the whole point of this podcast, right? Is like if I'm sitting here and I'm talking about things that interest me and that ultimately cultivated my mindset, and then like I simultaneously document my process and people see where I go, well, then they have reference that 100% aligns with my actions. Like, oh, well, what was he thinking about? What kind of things was he absorbing? Like, that's the whole point of me posting this. Like the whole point of these podcasts and a lot of the other content that I'm making right now is for it to more or less be like the secret sauce. Like, you can just peep into it and really see what kind of makes me tick or what makes you think. Or at least that's the idea. Another thing that's really cool about this is like this is really the first time in my entire life. Originally, when I was making this podcast or thinking about making this podcast, the consideration or the intention was, well, I need to have guests on it, and it needs to be this big thing, and it shouldn't just be a one-person dialogue. But the more that I'm making, I'm definitely going on a tangent now. Like I'm pretty much done talking about the books. I'm just talking about me at this point. But like the entire point about it, like, I'll go back to Effortless in a little bit, but like the entire thing about this experience, about starting this podcast by myself and being the only one talking, is like, wow, for the first time ever, here I am in a setting where I am outwardly because I don't really do a lot of outward dialogue by myself. I do a lot of internal thinking. But here I am in a setting where I'm speaking out loud and effectively thinking out loud in a room by myself, trying to give value to an audience that I cannot interact with because it's a podcast. Like, the only way that I can interact with you guys is by looking at the data and reaching out to people individually. If people don't fill out the "what do you think" portion on the on Spotify, which, by the way, if you fill that out, like, I read it. Like, if you put like "what you think" and give me your opinion and tell me like what your thoughts are on the podcast in real time, like, I will go and I will read that, and then that will be feedback that will be used in order to improve upon the podcast. So I think that's really important to say. Like, comments and questions are 100% welcome, and I can't imagine that will ever change. Anyway, that's the thing. I think me doing it this way is probably better, because here I am having 100% like a dialogue that is not being influenced by the person that I'm talking to. So if anybody knows me, they know that when I talk, I code switch. So that doesn't mean that who I am as a human being changes, but my accent and maybe my word choice does, my vernacular, but my opinions, my beliefs, even my mood, like, those things stay consistent and genuine. So, but yeah, this is how I think. This is how I talk to myself. This is my voice. But no, anyway, when we apply effortless actions to high leverage activities, the return to our effort compounds. When we invite joy into our daily routine, we are no longer yearning for the far off day when it may arrive. That day is always today. And so for me, this one actually had a lot to do with something that it just aligned a lot with something that I posted on Instagram the other day, actually. And so that was the video that effectively talked about how, a day spent rushing towards like the goalpost is a day wasted. And so, like, or a life. And so what I meant by that was, like, a lot of people chase success. They have this idea of like, well, I'll be happy or I'll be comfortable when I'm rich. I'll be happy or I'll be comfortable or I'll be good once I'm, I get X amount of followers, or, I get X amount of dollars, or whatever the case is. And the thing is like, the journey itself needs to be appreciated. And if you're having issues with enjoying where you are currently, then you probably won't enjoy it once you're there. And this is something that can be spoken to a lot. It's affirmed a lot if you actually listen to people who have reached success, monetary success, fame, whatever. And there's this little thing. It's called the hedonic curve, right? And it basically just is a visualization. It's something you can look up. You can Google it, the hedonic curve. But it's just a visualization showing how when human beings are put into any kind of situation, like, you have a normal right now, right? Like, there is your actual normal. Well, your normal is your normal, and how you feel is essentially your baseline happiness, your baseline fulfillment. Well, if you're given an extraordinary amount of circumstances, what will happen is your level of happiness will increase as well for a time. So it spikes for a second, but then what happens is, even if you like stay rich, stay famous, stay whatever for a long enough period of time, what happens is like that then becomes your normal, and whatever your baseline happiness was before that point is what your baseline happiness then returns to. So if you're the kind of person that's like always looking for the next thing, and you're dissatisfied with your present, and you're not thankful for your family now, getting more family later and is not going to be the solution to improve your overall quality of life. It's actually, if anything, just going to add more to your plate, and then you'll have a sense of disappointment that's associated with, well, now I got the thing and I feel no different. And that's the whole thing. And the same thing happens in the opposite direction. Like, you could lose everything, and there's a little valley of despair that may come right after that, but after some time you'll just go back to whatever your baseline happiness was. So both can be said. And so what is most effective in terms of improving one's quality of life, in terms of mindset? I mean, aside from the obvious, which is diet and exercise, like, that does wonders when it comes to mental health. And then, of course, meditation and prayer is great for spiritual health and subsequently mental health, which, by the way, like, all of these forms of health, like, really help when it comes to like, working on your fitness, working on your mental health, working on your emotional, spiritual health. Like, all of those things are directly related to the amount of money that you make and the amount of friends that you have, right? And like the relationship that you have with family members. So it's all connected. But anyway, After I complain, I will say something I'm thankful for. This is important for that perspective and for what we were just talking about, like having gratitude in the moment and understanding that, like, if you're not happy now and your baseline happiness is just you being an unhappy person, then circumstances changing more or less, or more than likely, will not have an effect. And so that doesn't mean to like then give up on changing your circumstances, but what it does mean is to take the time to change your perspective. Yeah. And I could keep going. I could really keep riffing on this all day, but I think uh to summarize this, it's already been 20, like a little over 20 minutes, and I really wanted to keep these like kind of short, at least for the time being. I think I'll have longer episodes later at some point. I do want to have interviews at some point, but I do like the streams of thought that come with these episodes. This one obviously has a little more structure than my previous ones, but what I really want to focus on is just making these recommendations and just giving y'all just a little peek as to where I am and how I got here, which hopefully I'm doing that well. God bless you, and peace out.